Good afternoon and welcome to Markets Today. I am your host, Mbithe Mwema. Now today, the 20th of August, there's a lot of exciting news that's actually happening in our markets. To start you off, Diamond Trust Bank Kenya announced its results overnight, as well as Family Bank. Now this was what was interesting about Diamond Trust Bank. 10% growth in profit after tax to 4.1 billion shillings. Very impressive on the face of it. But actually, if you take a deep dive on the numbers and try and understand where the growth is coming from, total income was actually down 4%, which begets the question, what's actually happening with expenses? So the thing that was driving this 10% growth was the fact that there was a decline, actually a 68% decline in the provisions that the bank expended during the period. And this is what was driving the 10% growth, which in my view just says these were weak numbers. This is a bank that's not growing its assets with regards to extending credit to the government, nor extending credit to the private sector. But then it's been able to use IFRS 9 to its benefit, cut back on its provisioning expense charge for the period to deliver bottom line growth. What was happening on the balance sheet? We did notice a steep rise, about 15% growth in the loan loss reserves. And this is the thing when you're looking about at IFRS 9 with regards to how you're going to provide for non-performing loans in your books. So what they did is they actually used the balance sheet methodology as opposed to the income statement methodology, something that IFRS 9 allows you to do. And based on this, it presented 10% growth. Again, weak numbers, and we need to be able to explore more what's happening on IFRS 9. However, moving on to Family Bank, they reported very strong numbers, 258% growth year-on-year on profit after tax to 364 million. A very different story here. Their total income actually grew by about 10% over the last 1 year, and they were able to cut back their expenses by about 2 percentage points. Really what we are saying is they had positive operating jaws. The growth in income was actually much more than the growth in cost, and this delivered the triple-digit growth in the bottom line. Are they growing their lending to the private sector? They're certainly growing their lending. They're also extending credit to the government. So you have two banks here, different absolute numbers. One is in the billions, the other one is in the millions. But for one, it looks like it has been beaten down, but it has been able to find a way of generating revenue and coming from the ashes, so to speak. So 364 million profit after tax for Family Bank, 258% year-on-year growth. And on the other side, 10% growth on Diamond Trust Bank to 4.1 billion. Family Bank, very good numbers. Diamond Trust Bank, very weak numbers. But that more to follow on that as we have this discussion. However, today, the highlight of the day, we actually saw Tullow Oil and the government of Kenya through the State Department of Oil and Petroleum have a launch earlier today, and they were launching the Early Oil Project for Kenya and giving the media as well as the investment community an overview of what is happening there. In effect, we have seen news come in and say that we've actually shipped out the first shipment of oil from Turkana as Kenya, and we did get buyers out there. What was happening here? On the face of it, 270,000 barrels have been sold at a price of Brent minus $3.5 to about minus $6 against the current Brent price. The first buyers are from China and they are paying in hard currency. But more importantly, what is the sustainability of this early oil project? Is it sustainable? Will it be affected by the elections? And really, how does the revenue actually look like once we get to full production? Recall, full production is about 70 to 90,000 barrels per day. And if we're actually able to sell the majority of this at par, which is at the equivalent price of Brent in the global markets, we can be able to generate additional income that is equivalent to the revenues that we actually get from either tea, coffee, or even horticulture. But don't listen to me. I need you to just, when we take a break, to just stay with us, because we have Mr. Abraham Kamau, who's the CEO of Miradi Capital. He will be helping us demystify the impact on the current account deficit, if any, and also understand the element of foreign currency and overall macro positive news, if any, and what to look out for. He will also help us understand and demystify the risks affiliated with this project. And really, is this something that you need to be paying attention to? Is there any excitement to it, or is it really another story that's aligned to Vision 2030? We take a short break on daily commodities. Don't go anywhere. And as always, remember, we are streaming live on the Metropole YouTube channel. See you shortly.